everyone! I'm so excited for you to be joining me on my first card video. Today I'm showing you how to make this die-cut wreath Christmas card set with products from Lawn Fawn. So this is what it's going to look like, and let's just get started. So our first step is going to be to die cut the wreaths. This wreath is Lawn Fawn's mini wreath die. It's a new product for the fall 2017, and it's so cute. Whenever you cut it out, look at that little wreath. So adorable. So for the cardstock I'm just using a bunch of scrap paper here, but I'm using jalapeno cardstock. That's what I'm cutting out right now. And then the darker cardstock is Noble Fir, and it's all from Lawn Fawn. I also die cut the little wreaths there that you see, and those are raspberry cardstock for the bows. So I have the light green cut out, and I'm going to do 3 dark green wreaths as well. Whenever I make the wreaths, it just kind of gives it a little bit more dimension to have a light and a dark. Just makes it look a little bit more realistic. So our next step is going to be to glue the wreaths together. And I am using Tombow Multi-Mono Liquid Glue. Sorry, I had a giant glob of glue come out there. But to glue the wreath, I just do a bunch of little dots of glue and I just kind of smash them together there. I used that piece of cardstock there just so that I didn't get glue all over my work surface, because that usually happens and then everything is sticky. So I have all the wreaths glued, and now I'm working on the bow. There's that little part that sticks out. You kind of just wrap it around and glue it down. And what I do is I kind of glue the bottom part of the wreath in between the layers before I fold over that final piece. I don't know if that's supposed to be that way or not, but that's just how I like to make it. But yeah, it just kind of gets wrapped around and then glued down. And then I just push it real hard to make sure everything stays together. And it makes the cutest little bow. So there it is. Isn't that adorable? Okay, so I'll work on the other bows there. And that's what it's going to look like on the wreaths. So just glue that down. And now I'll finish those 3 wreaths, so we'll set those aside to dry. Our next step is to die cut the letters that are used in the sentiment. So I need to do 3 different letters. There's hope, joy, and love. And since the wreaths is going to be the O in each letter, I just have to cut out the other letters. So I laid all these out. And for the die cuts, I'm using Lawn Fawn's Louis ABCs die. It's like a really big die. I think it looks great. It's also used a lot in banners and stuff, but it makes nice, bold sentiments. So I really like that. So just laid that down on some black licorice cardstock and die cut that out. So there's the first set. And I actually die cut each of the letters 3 times just to give it a little bit more dimension, make it kind of stand out on the paper. So that's the first layer. I'm going to go through that and die cut all the letters again. And I just use a little piece of like washi tape and hold all the dies down so they don't move around through my die cut machine. All right, so now all the letters are cut out, and we're going to glue the letters together. And I just use my liquid glue again and just kind of add dots around it and stack up the letters together and line it up and just make sure, yeah, everything's lined up. And that's how I make all the dimensions for it. All right, so there's the H, and I'm going to go ahead and work on the other letters as well. So all the letters are done. All right, so I keep them separate and I add the wreaths. It helps me just to kind of keep things organized if I can keep them all in little piles and separate it like that. So the next step is to stamp the banners. And for this, I'm using the Banner-tastic Stamp and Die set. I use this banner set a lot. It's one of my favorites. And I'm also using Memento black ink. So I just stamp those banners out. And since we're making 3 cards, I'm going to stamp 3 banners. And the cardstock that I'm using too here, it's just 110 pound white cardstock. It's the Recollections brand from Michaels. It's not the best cardstock, but it works well for like banners and stuff like that. So I like it. All right, so then I'm also using here Riley's ABC stamp set. And I'm laying out the sentiments for each of the cards. The first one that we're going to use is Love Came Down, so there's the came down for the banner. The next one, I think it goes with the joy. So it says, to the world. And I always make sure that I spelled everything correctly there, because a ton of times I've like laid out the letters and I've spelled it incorrectly and I've had to redo it. So I always have to double check. And then the last card is going to say a thrill of, and goes with the hope. And that's from Oh Holy Night. So I like that's a Christmas song. So then we're going to go ahead and die cut the banners with the coordinating dies. And you just line up the die over top of the image, add some tape, and run it through the die cut machine. And again, just to keep myself organized, I add it to the correct pile because I don't want to put the wrong sentiment on the wrong card, which probably has happened before. All right, so now we're going to die cut the panels. That die is actually the outside in stitched scalloped rectangle die from Lawn Fawn. It adds a really pretty scalloped and stitched detail around the outside. All right, and so now we're going to adhere the sentiments and banners. And I laid this out initially and I thought I was going to do it vertical, but it fit better horizontal, so that's why I kind of switched it up there. And I just laid out the letters how I liked it, just looking how the banner is going to fit on there. And then I used liquid glue again to just glue the letters down and the wreath as well. So just lay that out how I had it arranged and get that all glued down. All right, and then we'll be able to add the banners next. For the banners, I used foam tape so that they popped up a little bit. Since the sentiment, the love there, had a lot of dimension too, I added the banner so that kind of stood up above that. So I did that with the love. There's the joy finishing up. That one did fit vertically since there was only 3 letters in joy. And then here's hope being arranged as well. And that one had to be a little bit lower on the card base or the card panel since the banner goes above it. So I kind of had to push that down a little bit and glue that all down. So there's the banner getting attached. All right, so the next step then is to cut our card bases. And these cards, they ended up being 4 inches by 5 inches. I used my bone folder there to just kind of make a nice sharp crisp fold on it. And these were a little bit shorter than standard size, so that's why I just trimmed off a little bit with my die cut or my cutter there. All right, so then once the card bases are all ready, I used like a double-sided tape to adhere the panels to it. And that's just tape that I got at Joann's. I got it really cheap and it works great, so I've never had any trouble with it. So I'm just adding that to the panels there. It's adding to the card base. There it goes. And then I'm finishing up the last one there. Looks great. All right, and so there's the 3 cards that we made today. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel to keep up to date with future videos. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram for more card inspiration. Thanks again. Bye.